Hello, my name is Rapunzel, and this is my story. Once upon a time, in a far-off land, I think it was Germany, my mom and my dad were the cutest little couple, and they longed for a child. And magically, my mom became pregnant, as in all fairy tales. And soon she started having cravings. Now they lived in a precious little cottage which overlooked magnificent gardens. So my mom would sit by the window and she would look out into the garden, and every day she would look at the Rapunzel, which is a weird type of lettuce. Now my mom craved for that Rapunzel. She craved so much that she became ill. And my dad, not knowing what to do, said, "Wife, what ails you?" And my mother said, "Oh, if I could only have some of the Rapunzel in that garden over there. Surely I will die if I do not have that Rapunzel." Well, my dad, not knowing what to do, he decided that evening he would sneak over into the garden. The only thing was, this garden was surrounded by a high fence because it belonged to a wicked witch. So my dad snuck over and he grabbed the Rapunzel and he ran back to the house. Well, my mom was thrilled and she made the most wonderful salad. But, like all women, she gobbled it up. And of course, the next day, "Oh dear, if I do not have any more Rapunzel, I shall surely die." So my dad, not being real swift, decided he'd go back over that evening and get more Rapunzel. So he snuck over, except, "Oh, you dare to come into my garden and take my Rapunzel?" My dad was horrified. And he begged the witch, "Oh, dear witch, you know about those pregnant women. And my wife wants your Rapunzel." "Hmm. Well then, you may have all the Rapunzel you want, but I will take your firstborn." My dad, horrified, said, "Okay." He went back to my mom, and he didn't tell her about the witch, of course. And every day he brought her Rapunzel. Well, she was very happy until the day I was born. A beautiful little baby girl. And of course, who shows up at the birthday? But, "Oh, I will name you Rapunzel, and I will be your mother." And she takes me, and she ran off with me. Well, that did not fare very well for my dad or his marriage. But I was raised very gently by the wicked witch. Until one day, when I was 12 years of age, she stuck me up in a high tower in the middle of a dense forest. Every day she came to visit me. But the trouble was, there wasn't a door and there weren't any stairs. So she would come and say, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." And of course I would obey, and my hair would fall to the ground 20 feet. And she would climb up it. Well, of course, in all dense forests, there's always a handsome prince wandering around. And when the witch was gone, I was lonely, so I would sing to the birds. "I know you, I walked with you once upon a dream." Hark, a young lady. So the prince followed my voice, and tower. He saw the witch, who was climbing up after she had said, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." He waited until she was gone, and then he came over to the bottom of the tower and said, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." Of course, I didn't notice that the voice was a little different. And I obeyed and let down my hair. The handsome prince climbed up to me, and I was shocked. But of course, a handsome prince, I fell in love immediately. And of course, he fell in love with me. Now, a few weeks went by, and he visited me daily, of course, when the witch wasn't there. Then, he asked me one day, "Rapunzel, will you be my wife?" And of course, I said, yes. Well, a few months later, I was with child.
Oh.
And the witch noticed because my clothes were getting very tight on me. And she said, "You've been with someone! I'm very angry with you. I will banish you to the desert. And you will not see him ever again." So she sent me off to the desert, cut my hair, and waited for the prince to come the next day. Well, the prince showed up and said, "Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair." And of course, the witch was waiting for him. So when he climbed up, "You will never see Rapunzel again." And she pushed him out of the window, and he fell down into the brambles below. He was okay, but he was blinded by the brambles. So he walked around the dense forest, of course looking for me. One day he heard, "I know you, I walked with you once upon a tree." Hark, I hear her. So he wanders around and finally to the desert. I see him coming and I run to him and I embrace him. But I realize he's blinded, so I start to cry and my tears fall on his eyelids. And magically he can see. "Rapunzel, I can see you. I love you and I see twins." "Yes, dear, and they're yours." So he took all 4 of us to his kingdom, and of course we lived happily ever after. The witch didn't fare very well, because when you don't know how to share, you lead a very lonely life. And for me, the moral of the story is love conquers all.